Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I was told today that during the testimony of Secretary Bonoan that my name was dragged as the Senate President at the time when it came to allocables given to public politicians and legislators. For the record, Mr. President, and you know this, and many of our colleagues know this, all the senators know this, I never handled project lists. All requests were coursed through the Senate Finance Committee. For the record, as Senate President, I never requested, held, or handled any list of project requests from senators. Because the media is asking me this, and I want to put this on record. I refuse to handle any such list. Wala po dumaan na proposed budget amendments sa ating tanggapan. Alam ng mga senador yan. Because whenever the senators would approach me and say, meron kaming mga request, I always tell them, pass it to the finance chair in the finance committee. Always. Lahat ng request ay coursed to the Senate Committee on Finance na siyang tagapangasiwa ng budget process sa Senado. As a matter of fact, we did the same in the last budget, in this 2026 budget, Mr. President. We did it one step further. We adopted it on the floor with all the documentary requirements needed from RDC to barangay hall request, barangay submission of barangay documents and agency requests. Dito natin ginawa for full transparency. So I'm doing this for full transparency, Mr. President. With that said, I see nothing wrong with making institutional amendments to support roads, bridges, airports, seaports. Yung airport namin sa Bukidnon, 10 years in the making, I'm unapologetic. I really worked hard for institutional amendments to be able to give Central Mindanao an airport, Mr. President. Everybody who's traveled to Bukidnon always complain to me, bakit 4-5 oras yung biyahe namin papunta ng Southern Bukidnon, papunta ng North Cotabato. With an airport now in Bukidnon, the travel time will be less than 30 minutes for these areas, Mr. President. As long as these requirements are requested and approved by implementing agencies, Mr. President, properly carried out and free from any interference driven by personal interest or corruption. Napakalaga po yan, Mr. President. Almost all legislators, and I want to put this out, almost all legislators, except maybe for Senator Ping Lacson and a few, from senators to members of the House of Representatives, introduce amendments to the budget. Everyone. Maybe all of us. Whether it is education, whether it's military, PNP, Coast Guard, we introduce amendments, Mr. President. Or else, what are we here for? Aside from passing legislation, the budget passes us. Might as well just let the DBM just approve the budget, and then we'll just be a rubber stamp and no longer be able to help the advocacies that we are pushing for in the different agencies, whether it's culture, arts, education, PNP, public order and security, etc. So, Mr. President, even my idol, whose integrity is beyond reproach, the former Senate President Franklin Drilon, he used institutional amendments to make Iloilo the international mega city that it is today, without corruption, without any, I'd say, misappropriations. But look at Iloilo City. He's my idol on how he was able to develop his own area through institutional amendments, Mr. President. And it is our responsibility to bring much needed development to communities that we have long left behind. Every time binabanatan po tayo. As a matter of fact, before Senator Raffy Tulfo became a senator, I remember in his program, he was still isumbong mo kay Tulfo. This was in 2018. Meron siyang complaint sa Valencia City, Bukidnon. May tulay daw doon, nasira, kawayan, at maraming nalulunod. Napanood ko po yun kasi nalabas sa social media yun. I did an institutional amendment here. We built the bridge. He can confirm that. Kasi I told him, we built the bridge. We finished the bridge. There's no more complaints. That's not even my district. That is another district, Mr. President. But because of institutional amendments, we finished the bridge. We asked their team to verify it. So, I mean, we get bing-bang left and right from social media when there's a road to the barangays that's like a chocolate hills full of muddy, and you cannot walk through it. And they say, saan yung congressman? Saan yung senador nyo dyan? Tapos pag naglagay naman po tayo ng institution namin, babanatan tayo ng babanatan na corruption, di dapat pwede yun. As long as it is devoid of influence, Mr. President, by the legislator on the choosing, on contractor, on the kalokohans that happened there, as long as it is no corruption, it is transparent and requested by the agency, I don't see anything wrong, Mr. President. So again, I reiterate that there is nothing wrong with institutional amendments for as long as projects are properly implemented, that they are neither ghost projects nor substandard. Yan ang importante. Hindi po siya dapat ghost projects or substandard, Mr. President. And they are devoid of any influence from the proponent legislators that could lead to corruption. That is the statement I made to the media. I also reviewed the documents. I actually showed it to Senator Tito Soto on the testimony earlier of Secretary Manny Bonoan. It was a very simple testimony. He just talked about the process. That, there's a budget in the GAA, that the senators can request for amendments for their pet projects, whatever. He didn't even single me out as I'm the only one receiving the funds. It's very misleading. I think the word nowadays from our impeachment trial is the word misleading. So it is very misleading what some media outlets are doing by saying that I had control of 25 billion worth of budget. Mr. President, that is a lie. That is not true. As a matter of fact, all the members of the Congress, 19th Congress, know that whenever they approach me for projects, I say, wala akong pakialam dyan. Punta kayo sa Senate Finance and you apply there your amendments to the projects. Ever since my time in the Senate and in Congress, I've had no issues on public funds because I do not want to have anything to do with that, Mr. President, especially with the issues on corruption on public funds. I just want to put that on record very early on, Mr. President, so that at least for the benefit of the public, they know that, number one, we have nothing to do about that. I have no ghost I have no ghost projects. We have no substandard projects, at least in Bukidnon. And, Mr. President, it is fully transparent. I am fully transparent on these projects. As a matter of fact, it's so transparent that last year, Mr. President, for the budget hearing, I brought in maybe a table full of documents and more documents in the back. Kompleto po. RDC requirement, RDC approval, municipal approval, barangay approval, agency approval, with the program of works. Para sure na walang ghost, sure na walang substandard na project, at sure na gagawin may accountability dun sa lugar na yan. I've been very careful of that, Mr. President. As a matter of fact, I'm one of those senators na if there's a mayor that asked me and we were able to put the institutional amendments, you can ask the mayors, and I have a copy of the letter. I always put there that if there is anyone who transacts with you and asks for any SOP, please tell my office or the NBI and have him imprisoned. Nasa sulat mo namin yan sa mga LGUs who ask us for projects that we assist in institutional amendments, Mr. President. So, with that said, I just want to put and allay any fears of people listening in. And my dear colleagues, what's important for me is, my dear colleagues, that wala po tayong hanky-panky na ginawa noon. I guess it's the pitfalls of leadership, Mr. President. You are now the Senate President. I'm sure many are approaching you and asking you for budget as well for next year. Not only congressmen or senators, pati mayors. Right now, we have a steady flow of mayors. I just had a steady flow of mayors in my office. They all gave me envelopes, a request for their folders, for their daycare centers, health centers, for their roads, for their classrooms. Di ba po, anong gagawin po namin? Anong gagawin po natin, Mr. President? So, we just want to put that on record. I think I spoke up with what maybe most of my colleagues have in their minds. I think ako na lang, nagsalita na lang ako for my colleagues. So, maraming salamat, Mr. President.
Thank you, Majority Leader. At tuwing nagkakaroon ho tayo ng budget, pumapasok tayo sa budget season at pinapakinggan ho natin